Welcome to the Deep Dive. I'm your host, ready to jump right into today's sources.
And I'm your resident expert, and I am so excited to dig into this one with you.
Awesome. So I want you to picture this. It's 1955.
Okay.
The sun is barely coming up. There's, a crisp chill in the air, and you hear that distinct, rhythmic clink, clink, clink coming up your driveway.
Oh, the neighborhood milkman?
Exactly. He's in a crisp uniform, dropping off glass bottles on your porch, picking up the empties, and checking a little paper note you left him about, I don't know, needing extra cream for the weekend.
It's such a classic nostalgic image.
Right. But fast forward to today, and that quaint neighborhood service hasn't just survived. It has been completely weaponized by Silicon Valley tech into a massive global data engine.
Yeah, weaponized is honestly the right word for it.
So today, we're doing a deep dive into a comprehensive source guide covering the top 10 milk delivery apps operating across the US, the UK, and India. Our mission is to look closely at how a simple digital subscription model is just completely reshaping the global agricultural supply chain.
And what that means for how you manage your own household and your own time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we need to establish the sheer scale of this right away. We are absolutely not talking about a quaint neighborhood service anymore.
No, not at all.
The data in our sources points to a global milk market that is on an absolute tear. It is expected to grow by nearly 13% over the next 5 years.
Wow, 13%.
Yeah. To put a dollar amount on that, we're looking at a market size rocketing to over $40.26 billion by 2029.
That is insane.
It really is a highly lucrative, aggressively expanding sector of the global food economy. It's basically taking one of our oldest physical delivery networks and supercharging it with predictive algorithms.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're moving from a physical paper note shoved in an empty glass bottle to a $40 billion industry.
Right.
That means we have to look closely at the underlying architecture of these apps. Yep. What is actually driving this kind of explosive growth? Because at the end of the day, it's just milk, right?
Well, it comes down to one foundational mechanic, and that's the night order morning delivery model.
The 7 a.m. promise.
Exactly. That is the engine driving this entire trend. If you think about traditional milk delivery, the logistics were incredibly rigid.
You had fixed timings.
You were dealing mostly in cash, and the supply chain operated on blind faith, basically. The farmer produced the milk, sent it down the line, and just hoped the consumer bought it before it spoiled.
Right, and if you needed to change your order, you had to physically catch the delivery person or leave that note in the dark and just cross your fingers?
Yeah, which is wildly inefficient. The digital model flips that entirely. It introduces real-time tracking, frictionless digital payments, and instant subscription modification.
Okay.
The prime example the sources highlight is an app called Milkbasket, which operates in India. They've perfected what the industry calls, like you said, the 7 a.m. promise.
Yeah, Milkbasket is a fascinating case study because the way they operate seems almost punishingly strict at first glance.
It really does.
You have this hard, non-negotiable nightly cutoff, usually around 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. As long as you lock in your order by that exact minute, they guarantee doorstep delivery before 7 a.m. the next morning.
And what's wild is they haven't just stopped at milk.
Right. What stood out to me in the sources is that Milkbasket has evolved into this massive micro-grocery platform.
They are active in over 20 Indian cities, places like Delhi NCR, Bangalore, Hyderabad.
And they stock over 5,000 daily essentials now.
Over 5,000, yeah.
So you're getting your milk, but you're also adding, fresh fruits, vegetables, bakery items, household cleaners. You are combining your highly perishable dairy needs with your general grocery shopping into a single automated morning drop-off.
Exactly.
But I'm going to push back a little here.
Okay, let's hear it.
Are we actually looking at a technological revolution, or did we just slap a sleek smartphone interface onto a service our grandparents already had in the 1950s? Because the end result, a bottle of milk and some eggs on my porch at 7 a.m. is functionally identical.
The physical result is the same, yes. But what's fascinating here is the real innovation isn't the delivery truck itself, it's the data-driven flexibility.
The data layer.
Right, and what that does to demand forecasting. In the past, your fixed weekly schedule meant that if you went on a business trip or just drank less milk one week, the milk spoiled on your porch or in your fridge.
Oh, true.
Now, the consumer can toggle their consumption on a daily basis without talking to a human, You open the app, press a button, and adjust to your actual real-time consumption patterns.
Just adjusting instantly.
Exactly. That invisible data layer drastically reduces food waste at the household level. It shifts the power dynamic to your immediate needs, rather than some logistical schedule.
Okay, so the innovation is the predictive algorithm running the truck.
Yeah.
It's the ability to know exactly what thousands of households need before the cows are even milked.
Yes.
It's like the difference between a restaurant cooking a massive buffet and just hoping people show up, versus a restaurant where every single diner pre-ordered their exact meal 3 weeks in advance. There is zero waste.
Precisely. The algorithmic predictability allows these companies to streamline their operations to the absolute minute. It removes the guesswork that usually leads to massive inventory loss in the grocery sector.
But wait, there is a glaring problem here, I think.
What's that?
If an app like Milkbasket is delivering up to 5,000 different individual grocery items to millions of porches every single morning, the amount of packaging waste must be catastrophic.
Yeah. That is a huge issue.
Which forces us to look at how different markets are trying to solve the environmental cost of this convenience. The sources highlight some fascinating regional differences, starting with the UK.
The UK market is really interesting. It relies heavily on what we could call eco-nostalgia.
Eco-nostalgia, I like that term.
Yeah, consumer demand there has shaped a very specific model. There's an app mentioned in the sources called Modern Milkman, launched back in 2018.
And their whole mission's about sustainability, right?
Entirely.
Yeah.
Their central thesis is completely replacing single-use plastics with reusable glass bottles.
The reverse logistics of that must be an absolute nightmare.
It is incredibly complex.
I mean, it's one thing to drop off a plastic jug, wipe your hands and walk away. It's an entirely different operational beast to collect millions of heavy glass bottles, transport them back to a facility, heavily sanitize them, and redistribute them into the supply chain every single day.
It's massive overhead.
The fuel costs alone just to transport heavier glass instead of lightweight plastic must be huge.
It is an incredibly complex supply chain to maintain, for sure. You are running a delivery network and a waste management network simultaneously.
Wow, yeah.
But the stats from the source speak for themselves. Modern Milkman has diverted over 32 million plastic bottles from landfills to date.
Wait, 32 million?
Yes. The average customer using their platform saves about 100 plastic bottles a year all by themselves.
That is actually incredible.
And then there's Milk and More, another UK app mentioned in the sources. They lean heavily into the cultural aspect of the delivery.
Right, the traditional breakfast culture.
Exactly. They position themselves essentially as a breakfast table delivery service. You get your locally sourced milk in glass bottles, but they also offer over 200 breakfast-specific items.
So fresh bread, eggs, juices.
Yeah, everything you need for a traditional British breakfast. Packed at local depots overnight and on your doorstep by 7 a.m.
The UK approach is highly methodical. It is heavily focused on sustainability and local sourcing. But when you look at the US market in the source guide, it is a completely different philosophy.
Oh, completely.
The US is purely about high-speed grocery. We're talking on-demand aggregators like Instacart and full-service platforms like FreshDirect. Milk is just a small cog in a massive, chaotic grocery machine.
Yeah, the U.S. market prioritizes speed above almost everything else.
One of the source authors actually detailed their personal experience using Instacart in the US, and it perfectly captures this frantic energy.
Oh, yeah, I read that part.
It's all about live chatting with a gig worker in the aisles of a supermarket. If a specific brand of almond milk is out of stock, the app prompts you with alternatives, you approve it in real time, and a human being drives it to your house in an hour.
But that speed introduces intense friction into the unit economics of the business. You are paying a heavy premium for that hyper-convenience.
So true.
The author notes that the final cost at checkout is significantly higher than the shelf price of the products. You are covering service fees, delivery charges, and shopper tips.
Because you aren't just paying for milk, you're paying for a personal assistant with a car.
Exactly. The U.S. model relies on a high customer acquisition costs and high transaction fees for on-demand service. Instacart is an aggregator. They don't own the milk or the warehouses.
Right, they just connect you to existing retailers.
Whereas the Indian and UK apps are building their own dedicated, predictable, vertically integrated overnight supply chains.
So depending on where you live, the app reflects your culture's priorities. The UK treats milk delivery like a sustainable, eco-friendly breakfast ritual. The US treats it like a high-speed emergency rescue mission.
That is such a good analogy.
And India treats it like an automated, precision-timed daily utility.
That's a perfect synthesis. The technological infrastructure morphs to fit the cultural expectation of convenience.
Which brings us to the actual business engine of all this.
Yes, the money.
Moving highly perishable goods in the middle of the night. How does this actually scale without the spoilage rates destroying the profit margins?
The sources give us a deep case study on Country Delight in India. They were founded in 2015, and their primary play was cutting out the middleman entirely.
Delivering farm-fresh, organically fed cow milk directly to consumers.
Right, but the direct-to-consumer aspect is only half the equation. If you rely on one-time random purchases of a highly perishable item like milk, you simply cannot predict Tuesday's demand versus Thursday's demand.
Spoilage eats your margins alive.
Exactly. But by shifting customers into a recurring subscription model, Country Delight achieved near-perfect demand forecasting.
Going back to the restaurant analogy, it's the difference between an airline overbooking a commercial flight and hoping everyone shows up versus a private charter jet.
I love that.
The subscription model is the charter jet. They know exactly who's on board, exactly what they're eating, and exactly how much fuel to load. There's no guesswork.
And that predictable ordering model is what secures massive capital.
Right.
Country Delight massively reduced their product spoilage because they knew exactly how many liters of milk to draw from the farms each day. That generated stable, recurring revenue, which allowed them to secure over $200 million in investor funding.
Wow, $200 million.
Yeah, investors aren't throwing $200 million at cow's milk. They are investing in the airtight predictability of the subscription algorithm.
The predictability is so lucrative that you see competitors finding wild, highly specific niches just to acquire users.
Oh yeah, the niche markets are wild.
The sources mentioned Sid's Farm, which focuses heavily on delivering natural, antibiotic-free dairy. Then you have Binzar Farms, who are throwing 15% cash back at new users just to get them to download the app.
Just to get them in the ecosystem.
But my absolute favorite has to be Daily Moo. They completely removed minimum orders.
Oh, right.
They will literally deliver a single packet of milk alongside a piece of cake.
Girl.
How does a company survive delivering one single slice of cake at 5 a.m.? The delivery cost has to be higher than the profit on the cake.
Because they're playing a completely different game with their metrics. They aren't looking at the profit margin of that single cake delivery.
What are they looking at?
They're looking at customer lifetime value, or LTV. If removing the minimum order removes the psychological barrier for you to download their app, you are now locked into their ecosystem.
Oh, I see.
Once you rely on them for that one small convenient thing, behavioral psychology dictates you will eventually start ordering your heavier weekly groceries through them.
So it's a loss leader.
Completely. They will gladly lose money on the cake today to secure your grocery budget for the next 5 years.
Change the habit first, profit later. That makes total sense.
Exactly.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about the most heavily utilized feature in these apps, which the sources highlight over and over. Vacation mode.
Ah, yes. Vacation mode.
You tap a button in the app when you leave town. I always just thought of that as a polite convenience, so I don't come home to a porch full of sour milk and, angry raccoons.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it is convenient for you, but for the supply chain, that button is a critical macroeconomic shock absorber.
Wait, I'm confused here.
Okay.
If I pause my app at 10 p.m. because I have an early flight the next morning,
Right.
the cow already produced the milk.
Right.
The milk physically exists.
Yeah.
How does the supply chain absorb that sudden drop in demand without the farmer just dumping gallons of milk down the drain?
That's where the massive scale of data aggregation comes in. The central algorithm isn't just looking at your single pause button, it's analyzing thousands of pauses and resumes across a massive geographic network in real time.
So it sees the big picture immediately.
Exactly. It dynamically reroutes that excess raw inventory before it even hits the bottling phase. If you and 500 other people in your zip code pause your orders, the algorithm might instantly shift that surplus raw milk into production for longer shelf life items.
Like what?
Like butter, ghee, or paneer at the processing facility.
Oh, wow. So my single tap on a smartphone screen dictates whether a dairy facility churns butter instead of bottling liquid milk at 2 a.m.
Yes. The data from thousands of users is feeding directly into the physical manufacturing process. It optimizes the physical delivery routes for the drivers, saving fuel and time. But more importantly, it saves millions in wasted agricultural inventory across the industry.
As brilliant as that algorithmic orchestration is, the sources make it very clear that when it comes to moving physical, perishable goods before the sun comes up, things get incredibly messy.
Oh, very messy.
The entire industry is balanced on a knife edge. Which brings us to the logistical nightmares.
Because the foundation of this entire subscription model is that 7 a.m. promise. But algorithms cannot control the physical world. The
Right.
sources dedicate a significant amount of time to how this promise frequently fractures due to winter weather, high traffic periods, or massive spikes in order volume during festival seasons.
And the rigidity of those algorithms can actually become a trap for the consumer.
Mm.
We praised the efficiency of a 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. cutoff earlier.
Yeah.
But if you have a last-minute change of plans at 10:15 p.m. and you forgot to pause your app, the system mathematically locks you out. You are stuck paying for milk you don't want, and there's no human being you can call to stop the truck.
This raises an important question about the fragility of hyperconvenience. We are relying on multiple complex API integrations, payment gateways, inventory trackers, routing software to execute a physical task perfectly every single night.
And it doesn't always work.
No. The sources detail frequent app crashes during the checkout phase, which completely ruins the seamless experience they are selling.
And that vacation mode we just praised as a macroeconomic shock absorber.
Yeah.
The sources note it frequently fails to sync properly with the physical delivery driver's manifests.
Right, because the digital architecture updated in the cloud, but the physical piece of paper the driver printed at 1 a.m. in a warehouse didn't.
The sources specifically mention this. You tap pause, you fly to the beach, and the driver is still dropping off milk every morning at your empty house.
Oh, no.
Yes. Your credit card is getting charged for rotting dairy while you're hundreds of miles away.
Add to that the highly perishable nature of the product. Even farm direct brands face batch-to-batch quality issues. Well, the sources note instances where packets aren't filled properly, or the milk spoils in transit during unseasonably hot weather because the cold chain broke down for just 20 minutes.
And when you wake up to warm milk, you can't just talk to the milkman on your perch to get it fixed.
No, you definitely can't.
The sources point out that in-app customer support response times are notoriously poor across the industry. You are stuck arguing with an automated chatbot about a sour bottle of milk while you're trying to get ready for work.
It's so frustrating.
It really forces you to ask, are we actually saving time with these apps? Or are we just trading the minor physical inconvenience of walking to the neighborhood store for the modern psychological anxiety of beating a 9:59 p.m. digital countdown clock?
That is a great point.
It feels like we've gamified our grocery shopping, but the penalty for losing the game is spoiled dairy and a missing $20.
It's a profound trade-off. When we optimize our lives this heavily, the slightest logistical hiccup feels like a major crisis. A missed milk delivery in 1955 was a minor annoyance, you know. You just borrowed some from a neighbor. Today, because the app promises algorithmic perfection, a missed delivery feels like a systemic failure.
Because the app promised us perfection, and a chatbot can't apologize the way a neighborhood milkman could.
When we remove the human element to achieve massive scale, we also remove the human flexibility that used to smooth over those everyday logistical hiccups.
So what does this all mean? Bringing all these sources together. Whether you are relying on the high-cost 1-hour speed of Instacart in the U.S., the eco-friendly reusable glass bottles from Modern Milkman in the U.K., or the highly predictive 7 a.m. farm fresh subscriptions of CountryDelight in India, these platforms are ultimately trying to give you back your time and your mental bandwidth.
They are?
They are trying to automate the mundane decisions of your household so you don't have to think about them.
And despite the logistical friction we just discussed, the scale of their financial success is staggering. Technology successfully took one of the most obsolete, nostalgic services in history, the neighborhood milkman, and transformed it into a $40 billion data-driven subscription engine.
It really is amazing when you think about it.
It is, which leaves you with a fascinating thought to chew on as you go about your day. Look around your house today. Look at your daily chores. What other forgotten old-school daily routine is sitting right under our noses just waiting to be the next billion-dollar algorithmic revolution?